Here's a list of 9 unbelievable places on Earth that actually exist. Most people have heard of the Grand Canyon or the Great Pyramids in Egypt. But did you know there are natural wonders in the world that are so strange and seem almost alien, like they come from a planet other than our own? Number 9. Where the sea splits into 2. In Kerala. Imagine getting out of bed to find that the sea split in 2. What possible explanation could you give for such a phenomenon, other than God's intervention or a force beyond our planet? Well, the residents of Panani in Malappuram of Kerala were in for a pleasant surprise after the floodwater receded. When the catastrophe was over, they found a new island-like structure along the beach. This narrow strip of sand, more than half a kilometer long, has literally divided the sea in 2. The strip of sand attracts many tourists to Panani Beach, who wade into the sea and walk the entire stretch for an experience that sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. As cool as this sounds, the authorities have warned that the strip of sand could disappear at high tide, so those who venture out to walk this artificial island may one day not return. Even if it's still unclear what's behind the formation of this unusual structure, many believe that it was washed from Bharata Puja and deposited at Panani, thus causing this phenomenon. If you thought this was the most amazing thing we had to show you, you were wrong. Later in this video, there's a literal waterfall underwater. Number 8. Mount Kelimutu, Indonesia. Indonesia is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, which has high seismic and volcanic activity. The archipelago has about 400 volcanoes, 127 of which are active, and make up almost a third of all active volcanoes worldwide. However, among this gigantic number of volcanoes, one stands out because of its beauty rather than its danger. Mount Kelimutu is located near the small town of Moni, in the center of the island of Flores, one of the most beautiful and unknown places in the Asian country. For many of the island's inhabitants, the volcano is a sacred place where the souls of the dead take refuge. The mountain has 3 craters with lakes at an altitude of 1,640 meters and is distinguished by the color of its waters. Even if 3 craters are located on the same mountain range, they differ in color. The color of the water varies periodically from red to brown and can turn from turquoise blue to green. So the big question is, why does this happen? In scientific terms, the color changes can be explained by the geological activity of vapors and gases that emerge from its interior at high temperatures. This causes chemical reactions that modify the oxidation of the elements present in the water, such as sulfur, barium, arsenic, and copper, causing different color changes in each crater. Number 7. Mount Roraima, Venezuela. For more than 500 years, scientists from all over the world have been trying to decipher the geological origin of this unusual rock that rises almost 3,000 meters or 9,220 feet above sea level. The origin of Mount Roraima dates back millions of years, but even after all this time, no other flat-topped mountain has been found to match it. The mountain has an unnatural morphology and seems to have been cut by a gigantic knife due to the precision of its angles. Despite this, the site's home to a great diversity of endemic plant and animal species. Geologists and biologists from all over the world believe that Roraima hides species of which science has no record, since there are areas of the mountain that have not yet been explored. Before you get to know the next wonder, don't forget to like and subscribe. Number 6. Ramas Bridge. The Ramas Bridge is an artificial bridge where modern science collides with ancient myths. Hindu tradition holds that this strip of land is a bridge built by the deity Rama. The book that chronicles his life, the Ramayana, is a time-honored classic that tells of a time when gods flew in ships through the air and monsters walked the earth. As ambitious as this work may sound, its words may have hidden a truth. The great Indian epic written several thousand years ago tells of a bridge over the ocean connecting India and Sri Lanka. The story begins with the crown prince, Rama, who was forced to renounce his right to the throne and go into exile for 14 years. One day, while in exile in the forest, his wife Sita was kidnapped by the evil demon king Ravana and taken to Sri Lanka. In response, Rama organized an army of apes and took them to fight a long war in Sri Lanka. The apes built a floating bridge across the ocean, writing Rama's name on the stones and throwing them into the water. After defeating Ravana, he returned home with his wife to be crowned king. Today, much of the bridge that, for centuries, served as a connecting link between India and Sri Lanka is underwater. Despite this, it's possible to observe via satellite the small strip that links the two countries. Number 5. The Liquid Rainbow River, Colombia. Caño Cristales is a river located in the Serranía de la Macarena. It is also known as the River of Five Colors, the Liquid Rainbow, and the Melted Rainbow because of the many shades that can be observed below its clear waters. Depending on the light and water conditions, the colors of the river can vary between a range of bright greens, yellows, reds, and purples. On other occasions, they can turn blue, pink, or even orange. The vibrant coloration of Caño cristales can be attributed to a weed called Macarinia clavigera, a type of aquatic plant different from algae or moss. The water level and weather conditions affect the colors that can be observed in the water, resulting in one of nature's most beautiful and bizarre phenomena. Number 4. The Crooked Forest, Poland. Near the small town of Gryfino in West Pomerania, Poland, is an unusual forest where every tree is bent at the base. The Crooked Forest is so named because the pines grow from the base with a sharp 90-degree curve. Despite their unnatural shape, the trees are mostly healthy and grow up to 50 feet tall. Unfortunately, the mystery of the Crooked Forest is yet to be unraveled. One of the most convincing theories states that the trees were buried under heavy snowfall in their infancy. Other theories claim that the trunks were altered due to the area's gravitational pull, genetic mutations, or the intervention of extraterrestrials. Whatever the explanation, I'm sure this forest has inspired more than one horror story in recent decades. Number 3. Floating Islands, India. The floating islands of Loktak Lake are an extremely unique natural wonder of the world. These circular landmasses, known as fungus, comprise vegetation, soil, and organic matter thickened into a solid form. The islands have a spongy, trampoline-like surface. Like an iceberg, most of its mass lies below the water's surface. During the dry season, when water levels drop, the island's living roots can reach the lakebed and absorb nutrients to stay alive. But how many floating islands make up the lake? It's estimated that there are thousands of fungus floating there. However, both the floating islands and the surrounding waters are vitally important for irrigation and food supply. Not to mention they're a great source of drinking water. Today, thousands of fishermen make a living in these waters, catching about 1,500 tons of fish a year. Even illiterate children and adults attend a school located on these floating islands. The largest of these islands, known as Kibu Lamjau, is home to the world's only floating national park, and it serves as a habitat for the endangered sangai or dancing deer. Thanks to a dam south of Lake Loktak, water levels are kept high throughout the year, preventing the fungus from sinking. Number 2. Turkmenistan, Gates of Hell. In the sprawling Karakum Desert, near the village of Darvaza of 350 people, there's a 230-foot wide hole that's been burning for more than 50 years. Some people know it as the Darvaza gas crater, but locals know it as the Gates of Hell. The glowing blaze of the crater can be seen from miles away. It was created in 1971 when a Soviet drilling rig accidentally hit a huge subway natural gas cavern, causing the ground to collapse and the entire drilling rig to fall to the bottom. As a result, poisonous vapors began leaking from the hole at an alarming rate. To stop a potential environmental catastrophe, the Soviets set fire to the hole, thinking it would stop burning in a few weeks. To their surprise, the Gates of Hell have remained burning for decades. Despite its terrifying name, many tourists venture into the desert to witness this unusual phenomenon. Unfortunately, the government of Turkmenistan has been investigating ways to extinguish this fire since 2022. Maybe it's time to dust off that old credit card and plan an unusual vacation before the crater stops burning. Number 1. Mauritius's underwater waterfall. The underwater waterfall is a phenomenon that baffles travelers the world over. It's a unique natural wonder exclusive to the island nation of Mauritius. The impressive underwater waterfall found along Lemorne Brabant shores is an optical illusion caused by sand and silt sediments moving under the influence of strong underwater currents. Seeing the underwater waterfall from the shore is difficult, so the best way to enjoy this phenomenon is to fly over the site. Nevertheless, the Mauritius underwater waterfall is worth a visit because there's no other place on Earth as beautiful and mysterious. What was your favorite place on our list? Leave a comment down below and let us know.